Gyrus, ideas for change. Engage, innovate, transform. The Francis Report highlight the deep-seated values and culture that sit within the heart of the NHS. Patients must receive high-quality, safe care in every setting within the UK. Therefore, it is imperative that NHS staff feel empowered and confident that their trust is delivering no less than the best for its patients. And where institutions fall short of optimal care, NHS staff must be equipped with the tools to engage, empower and encourage staff to relay these shortfalls to the wider management team.
Well, the frontline staff are the people we see as patients. They're the people delivering care, and if they have ideas of things which work well or don't work well, we've got to go with that. As the medical director's office, we will try and always be aware of what's going on at the front line, but with the best will in the world, we aren't there 24/7 as the junior doctors are. They can see things we don't see, and we've got to accept that.
Many high-profile cases within and outside the NHS have raised questions over the protection of those wishing to give constructive feedback to their employers. Subsequent investigations into these and other incidents have shown that in many cases staff had concerns about what was happening, but were unsure whether or how to raise them, or had raised the issue only to be ignored.
I remember a time just last week actually, when we were looking after a sick patient on the ward. We wanted to do a tracing of their heart, an ECG. First of all, the machine on the ward wouldn't work, so that took about 30 minutes. It ended up affecting that patient because it delayed things by half an hour. The patient eventually got transferred to the intensive care unit.
One of our patients needed an urgent MRI brain scan. We'd called a porter had come to the ward with a wheelchair, but this patient, being quite confused, had pulled out his cannula, which is the little tube in your arm. And I'd said to the porter, can you just wait 2 seconds, literally, I'll just put a new one in. Did that, replaced the cannula. By the time I turned around, the porter had just disappeared. Delays in portering services can be up to 30 minutes to an hour, if not longer. The patient would lose their slot, so I had to take the patient down myself to MRI, which was inconvenient but obviously necessary.
One issue that I came across quite recently was when I was trying to get a specialist opinion for one of my patients on intensive care. I had to contact the specialty, which usually is done through the switchboard in the hospital. Unfortunately, on this occasion, the switchboard didn't have the details of the specialty that I needed to get in touch with, so it involved spending a lot of time on hold whilst they tried to obtain those details. After about 15 minutes, I still couldn't get through, so what I ended up having to do was go to find the specialty ward itself and then see if anybody could get in touch with any of those relevant people. The whole thing probably took about an hour of time and was quite frustrating in terms of needing to get done what I needed to do.
I think if there was some way of getting in contact easier or making it easier for the people at the other side to kind of log calls and keep up to date, that would obviously save me a lot of time, and I think probably a lot of my colleagues a lot of time as well.
You know, no healthcare professional really has the time to sit down after the end of a day's work and recall the information and, you know, all the inclination really to do that. So I think real-time logging of issues is important, and it can be looked at by the service, it can be looked at by us, groups of healthcare professionals who are interested in improving services, in order to isolate various issues or recurrent themes, such as issues with the portering service times, to really improve patient satisfaction ultimately and patient safety. Everyone's got their mobile phone. People are very happy using apps, communicating via text message, WhatsApp. It's an easy function that everyone is accustomed to.
An app where you could direct sort of current feedback and issues might be really helpful, because not only could you do something at the time about it if something was frustrating or problematic, but also if other people saw that you were doing it and you were getting positive feedback or an acknowledgement about your issues, then it might encourage more of a culture of change amongst other junior trainees. And I think that would be quite important in terms of directing change really for everybody within our individual trusts.
What we want to know is ways we can improve things. We need to know about things which aren't quite working so well. And I think some of the ideas from the junior doctors have been absolutely fantastic. But for them to get to us in senior management, they're going to have to battle down enormous barriers to get to us. What we want to do is make it very smooth, very clear, and then feed back to them that we've used their information, which will just make the whole system work so much better.
Innovation for Health has worked successfully with NHS England to develop an interactive smartphone application that would engage patients, staff members and the public across 14 hospitals that were under review.
Following the KEO review and the success we had in terms of engaging patients and the public and other members of staff, I've been working with colleagues and Innovation for Health to look at how we learn from that and what we do and how we can improve patient experiences now across the country.
Innovation for Health has had great success. We were the winner of the Patient Feedback Challenge 2012 from the Institute of Innovation and Improvement. We have also collaborated successfully with doctors on launching the KEO Mortality Review feedback application. I have spent a great deal of time working with the private sector companies and corporates in developing systems and improving communications. Unfortunately, a few years ago, I suffered a traumatic brain injury, leading me to spending a significant amount of time in hospital. This is where I saw the first-hand frustrations and comments of staff members who really wanted to change the conditions within which they had worked. I founded Innovation for Health to bring this expertise to health and radically change it to improve greater patient care.
Ideas for Change, I think, will transform the way healthcare is delivered within the National Health Service. It immediately empowers every single member of the frontline staff within the hospital to be able to not only identify problems within that hospital, but then suggest solutions as well.
It would feel pretty good to be able to identify a problem and create some sort of channel by which you could facilitate some kind of change. And especially it would be nice to see that there was some kind of feedback mechanism so that your ideas were being thought about and potentially actioned.
Invest in the growth and development of the capabilities of staff, their ability to improve what they do, and their ability to work together to improve what they do, both within and across organizations, and that will require investment.
The Berwick Review identifies the need to create an effective two-way communication structure between staff on the front line and management to identify genuine process innovation. Frontline staff are the true experts in their own processes.
Well, we've already got a very good mechanism of getting feedback from patients, but we don't have a good mechanism of getting feedback from the people delivering the care at the front line. And the junior doctors are doing that day in, day out, day and night. So we need to see how the hospital looks from their point of view. We've done things in the past in which they've made some points and we've tried to change it, but that's been on an ad hoc basis. What we're hoping here is they will regularly feedback, and if we feedback that we've done something, then our hope is that then that will help them give us more ideas and more things that we can do.
Medical directors and other decision makers within the hospital will be able to identify clear trends and patterns and identify also problem areas within the hospitals where improvements need to be prioritised. Not only that, it also allows the frontline staff to be able to gain feedback on what happened to their idea, what happened to their suggestion. This makes any focus group, any staff engagement far more meaningful and directed.
I am very excited about Ideas for Change. I am also very confident that our technical and design team will make this project a huge success and, more importantly, change the way we work within the NHS.
My belief is that this will help us change the way we deliver care. We have to change. The NHS is changing all the time. This will be a fantastic tool for us to be able to do that.